the intersection of Wisconsin and Bethesda Avenue, gateway to a new and vibrant urban landscape. The market conditions, a largely unserved demographic with both the means and the desire to live in Bethesda. The structure, a stunning architectural statement towering above energetic city streets. And the beacon on Wisconsin, an exciting development opportunity offering strong returns and immediate and viable execution. Soaring 250 feet above the prominent intersection of Wisconsin and Bethesda Avenue, the beacon is a visually inspiring luxury multifamily residential tower above ground floor retail. Located directly across Wisconsin from the historic Farm Women's Market and within a 3-minute walk of Bethesda Row, which embodies all that is new about this developing downtown community, the beacon serves as a link between the old and the new and signals a gateway to a new and exciting urbanized community. It lights the city stage for all to see. And for those not familiar with the site, it currently houses a Starbucks that is very popular and very successful. So many local commuters and residents and the patrons of the Farm Women's Market may say, but where is my Starbucks? Where is it going during construction? Well, fear not, local community. The Starbucks will be back and it will be bigger and better than ever before. Planned as the anchor marquee tenant for this site is the Starbucks Reserve Roastery and Tasting Room. It is the next generation of Starbucks and has been aptly called a one-of-a-kind coffee shrine. Right now there is only one, located where else but Seattle. However, according to Street Sense, who is Starbucks' local tenant rep for the DC market area, Starbucks is looking to establish its first East Coast presence, and they're looking in this very neighborhood. It's no small coincidence that Starbucks Mid-Atlantic headquarters is located 1 mile north of this site. So exciting changes are on the way. During our due diligence, we examined a number of alternatives, which my colleagues will discuss in a few minutes. However, we identified 2 viable alternatives for consideration. We called them the Opportunistic Strategy and the Legacy Strategy. Under each scenario, it's assumed that no JV equity partner is required and that Midland will retain the ground floor retail for 10 years. The difference is under the Opportunistic Strategy, the residential portion is comprised of 147 for-sale condominium units. Higher returns, shorter period of time, versus the Legacy Strategy, under which the residential portion is comprised of 179 apartment units, for lease apartment units. Lower returns, but a stabilized NOI over a longer period of time. Each is a viable option, and the decision between these 2 is purely up to Midland. It's all dependent on their own risk profile, their long and short-term goals, and their overall investment strategy. However, as a team, we recommend the Opportunistic Strategy because it offers Midland the highest return in the shortest amount of time. This proposal offers Midland a lot of flexibility and it offers them control over the project. We do know this is the right product in the right location at the right time. We are Mason Capital Partners. My name is Meghan Logan, and joining me are my colleagues Jake Ballard, Dennis Fay, Samantha Steketee, Greg Hoffman, and Joe Whitebread. Joe?
Thank you. Now for the sexiest part of the presentation, the site analysis. As Meghan mentioned, this is the right location. The site is located in a high net worth submarket with excellent visibility and transit access. We also analyzed the feasibility of acquiring 2 adjacent parcels, the Vache property and the Capital One property. The acquisition of the Vache property is critical to this project as it allows us to maximize the building frontage along Bethesda and Wisconsin avenues. Vache could be acquired at a price of $2 million, and to further incentivize the owner in the sale of this property, we recommend offering discounted rent and a prime retail bay along Bethesda Avenue in the proposed building. The acquisition of Capital One is not feasible. This branch has over $86 million in deposits, and that is only expected to grow with the surrounding development. While attractive, the acquisition of Capital One would dilute the return, necessitate an equity partner, and is not necessary to the project. The site has been laid out to maximize the at-grade building footprint, and the ground floor slabs have been stepped to allow for at-grade entrances to all retail bays and the residential lobby. The site is expected to be upzoned as part of the new Bethesda sector plan, and we propose an FAR of 5.0 for the Opportunistic Strategy and a 6.0 FAR for the Legacy Strategy. Additionally, the maximum building height is expected to be raised to 250 feet, and the entire entitlements process for this project is expected to take between 18 and 24 months. And now I'll hand it over to Greg.
We challenged our architect to design a building that would achieve three major objectives: to engage the public with the dramatic ground floor retail space, to shape the building in a way that would allow smaller apartments to feel larger with high ceilings, expansive glass, and large terraces, and to utilize the available height in the area for a striking architectural statement. Looking in on the ground floor retail, it's been designed with 30-foot high ceilings, which are to accommodate the large roastery equipment that would be provided by Starbucks as the anchor tenant. The other smaller retail bays are located along Bethesda Avenue, which achieve the highest retail sales for the region. Looking at the parking garage, we've strategically located all the parking above grade for the condo building. This does two things. It reduces the amount of rock excavation and cost associated with that during construction, and it also elevates the first floor of residential levels to 80 feet above the loud streets nearby. You can see on one side of the garage we've showed a rendering of the green wall feature, which is a environmental approach that we're taking to this project. Now let's look at the residential floors.
In analyzing the market, we have found that the vast majority of new sale condominiums currently available are aimed at an affluent move-down buyer, leaving a relative void in product available for millennials or working-class buyers. Towards that end, you'll note behind me our proposed one-bedroom floor plan versus a one-bedroom floor plan for the currently marketing Darcy condominium. You'll note that our one-bedroom is significantly smaller, resulting in a much lower absolute market price relative to the Darcy, giving us a competitive advantage with a working-class buyer. This advantage carries through to the other unit types within the building. In analyzing the pipeline, we found that there are approximately 3,000 residential multifamily units delivering within the Bethesda corridor between now and year-end 2017. As you analyze those numbers, you'll find that only 20% of those are currently programmed to be condominium units. Parsing the numbers even further, you find that only about 250 units are currently available and delivering between now and year-end 2017, and the vast majority of those are targeted to buyers looking in the $1 million plus range. It's notable that approximately 90% of the units at the Beacon are priced at an average of $750,000 or less, thus meeting the currently unserviced millennial buyer's need.
Airfoil shape of the building was devised to achieve two objectives. The first is it's an efficient core factor, and the second objective, which is probably the most important, is it preserves the views along the western face of the building should the adjacent lot that now has a low-rise Capital One building would ever be developed higher. It wouldn't block the views of those condominium owners.
We've also programmed the top two floors of the building to encompass two-bedroom and den and three-bedroom units of a larger size that we feel will reach a premium price within the marketplace. It's also notable that we've programmed a sky deck to take advantage of the soaring views from 250 feet above Bethesda and Wisconsin avenues.
The building massing is essentially the same for both the opportunistic and the legacy approach. On the opportunistic approach, all the parking is above grade. However, the key difference between the two, the apartment approach features 3 levels of below grade parking, which is to accommodate the increased residential density for the apartment approach, added amenity spaces, and more apartment units. Dennis?
Thanks, Greg. So we've seen some beautiful renderings of the Beacon with its efficient and attractive floor plates. We've heard about this untapped market with the means and the desire to live in this new urban Bethesda. Now let's address the question that's probably on everybody's mind. How much money do we make? Here you can see the opportunistic and legacy strategy key points side by side. The opportunistic strategy generates $46.2 million in total net proceeds. That breaks down into $16.8 million in equity. There's $14.5 million for the land basis at a 5.0 FAR with $100 per FAR foot value, plus $2.3 million for the purchase of the Vache site. Sales for the condominium units generate $31.7 million. Tax is not included in these numbers. And the 37% IRR at the end of the investment is certainly very healthy and does include the land basis as mentioned. Now, we do understand that the opportunistic strategy might not meet Midland Company's views on real estate or their overall investment profile, so we're happy to offer an alternative in the legacy strategy. It's a more generational approach to real estate, slower, steady growth over a longer period of time. The legacy strategy also generates $46.2 million in total net proceeds, slightly higher equity at $21.6 million, which breaks down into $17.4 million for the land basis because there is a higher FAR at 6.0 at $100 per FAR foot, plus higher cash at $4.2 million. Still the same 2.3 for the Vache purchase, plus additional cash required for the purchase of density transfer credits. Stabilized NOI for the legacy strategy is $4.8 million at year 2. And in the third quarter of 2020, our assumptions have the loan being refinanced into a long-term, non-recourse permanent loan, which will allow the Midland companies approximately $4 million to cash out, which is basically the cash required to get into the deal at inception. Now, I am obligated by federal, state, and local laws to present at least one graph during a financial presentation. So here we are, the graph. As you can see, the blue line represents the opportunistic strategy. It's higher returns over a shorter period of time when you compare that to the legacy strategy, more slower growth, generational approach to real estate. Now, we did look at a couple other alternatives for the site in our analysis. First was the hotel, and the bottom line is that the hotel had a really high barrier for entry, especially in this market, and simply didn't return the same results as the opportunistic or legacy strategies. We also looked at office as a potential use, and basically the office market is still too soft to implement a development strategy at this point in time. So in conclusion, 3 main points. Number 1, the Beacon is the right project. It's meeting an untapped market of people with the means and the desire to live in Bethesda. It's the right location. The corner of Wisconsin and Bethesda truly is the gateway for all that is new and exciting in this market. Lastly, it's the right time. You can take this proposal today, head down to your car and grab your shovel, get started and make money. Thank you for your time.